It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 309. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, we're back once again, y'all, for another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious is going on type of videos. And we going to a channel that we got a lot of catching up to do on, man. Because I'm just scrolling through his older content, like going years back, and I'm like, man, I want to watch that one with my brothers and sisters. Me and my brothers and sisters got to check that one out at some point in time. We got to watch this one, got to watch that one, got to watch that one. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of stuff for us to catch up on. And that's what we trying to do. And that's what we finna do today. And that channel is Lazy Masquerade. The Lazy Man, y'all. And the title of this video, 10 creepy photos with disturbing backstories. Now, we have watched a lot of these, but we never watched this one before. You know what I'm saying? We have watched a lot of videos with creepy photo backstory and all that. But I'm interested to see what the hell going on with these 10 photos, my brothers and sisters. But before we see what's going on with these 10 creepy is going on type of photos, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need. We back to the Lazy Man Masquerade. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go. The best things happen in the dark. The Lazy.
My videos can be a little spooky, but you know what's more spine-chilling? Paying full price for something when there are coupons.
Lazy starting out with his commercials. Y'all fuck with that delivery. Or whatever he sponsoring, man. John Honey. Fuck with johnhoney.com/lazy masquerade. We're gonna take it back about right here and let's go.
Thanks, Honey, for sponsoring today's video.
And get whatever you may need.
Take a look at this photo. Just 3 goofy girls.
I already know this photo, man. I already know it. I think it was Mike from that chapter, but we have heard this. Let's see Lazy Masquerade, you know, his story of it.
It's being silly for the camera and having a good time, right? Not quite. The girl on the right is Skylar Neese. She was senselessly killed by Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf, the 2 other girls in this picture, whom she went to school with and considered her best friends. In reality, Sheila and Rachel were warped, sadistic individuals. They had mutually decided that they just didn't like Skylar, and for no other reason than that, had formulated a plot to take her life. For months, they discussed how they'd do it, and even told some of their other classmates about their plan. They of course thought Sheila and Rachel were joking. During those months of preparation, they both continued to hang out with Skylar, pretending to be her closest friends, just like they were doing in this image. July 6th, 2012. At 12:30 AM, Skylar snuck out of her bedroom window to meet up with Sheila and Rachel. The pair had coerced her into hanging out with them that night through texts and calls. At first, Skylar was hesitant, but the duo weren't going to take no for an answer. Skylar got into the back of Sheila's 4-door sedan, and the 3 of them drove off to a spot where they usually relaxed at, just across the Pennsylvania border. There, all 3 of them got out the vehicle. That's when one of the perps told Skylar that they had forgotten their lighter in the car. Would she be a doll and go and fetch it for them? Skylar turned around and headed back to the sedan. That's when Sheila and Rachel counted to 3, their predetermined signal. On 3, they pulled out a pair of blades and rushed Skylar, tackling her to the ground and puncturing her more than 50 times. They continued until, in Rachel's own words, Skylar's neck stopped making gurgling sounds. Sheila and Rachel were pure evil, but they were far from evil geniuses. They tried to dig a hole in which to hide Skylar's remains, but didn't realize that the soil in the area was too hard and rocky to unearth. They planned this thing for months on end, and literally fell at the first hurdle. Improvising, they instead covered Skylar with rocks and branches, then disposed of their clothes and went home. The following day, Skylar was reported missing. Sheila shamelessly helped Skylar's family distribute missing person posters, and later made this post on Twitter trying to cover her tracks.
I forgot all about that part of the story, that the fact that these bitches, after they killed her, was like trying to help the family out, search for her, and posting all this bullshit like this on all social media. I forgot all about that part, man. These little young mother whippersnappers, crazy as hell. You know what I'm saying? These little teenagers doing that evil type of shit, man. It's crazy.
It eventually became clear that investigators were hot on their heels. Hoping for a reduced sentence, on January 3rd, 2013, Rachel confessed to what she and Sheila had done that fateful night. She led detectives to where they had hidden Skylar, and at last, the Nice family were given some modicum of closure. As for Sheila and Rachel, they were given 40 years and 30 years respectively. They'll both be eligible for parole in the not-so-distant future.
And I just wish, I'm glad that Lazy brought that story back up. But I just wish more than anything, instead of 30 and 40 years, just go and give them life. Just give them fucking life and be done with it. And did I see? She's smiling. I had to rewind that real quick, y'all. She is smiling. This is my first time seeing these mug shots of these bitches. This bitch smiling. Oh yeah, we need to just go on, just put you on the damn chair and just put the little hat on top of your ass and go and shock you to death. You think this shit funny? Wow, wow. Let's go to the next one.
And 30 years respectively. They'll both be eligible for parole in the not-so-distant future. This photo was taken in 1979 outside the Ghost Train attraction at Luna Park, Sydney. The boy in the photo was Damien Godson. He, his parents and his brother had spent the day at the theme park, enjoying many of the classic rides. With their last tickets, the family decided to ride the Ghost Train. Before they got on, the mother, Jenny Godson, took this photo of her son and who she assumed was a park actor. This was the Ghost Train after all. Jenny then went to get some ice cream, while her husband and two sons went to enjoy the ride. When she returned, she noticed smoke billowing out from the Ghost Train. The ride had been completely consumed by a fire. 35 people were on the ride when the fire broke out. 7 of them never made it out, including Jenny's husband, John, her youngest son, Craig, and of course, Damien. How the fire actually started remains a mystery to this day. Some suspect it may have been the result of faulty wiring, while others suspect foul play. Abe Saffron, a notorious figure in the Australian underworld, was known to have started at least 7 other fires in the local area for his own gain. It's speculated that he may have caused the blaze as a way to get Luna Parks shut down. Saffron had apparently tried to buy the park several years earlier, but his offer was turned down. This may have been his way of getting revenge, or perhaps a way for him to purchase the park at a greatly reduced rate. Still, that's just speculation. Sometime later, when Jenny finally mustered the strength to look through the photos she had taken that fateful day, she came across the last picture that she had taken of Damien, standing alongside the horned figure. She recalled how that masked man had approached the family without saying a word, then silently placed his hand on Damien's shoulder. At the time, she had just assumed he was an actor for the Ghost Train. As it turns out, he wasn't. Luna Parks didn't employ any costumed actors. Given how creepy this photo is, and the fact that it was taken just before the fire started, there are of course those who think this masked man was behind it all in some way.
I think it's the masked man now too, because I was thinking that it could possibly be, I'm sorry y'all, got a little distracted by outside. I thought somebody was cutting their grass, but that's the airplane. But I was thinking that it possibly could have been the other dude, you know what I'm saying, trying to get them shit down, who been starting fires around the neighborhood, around town, whatever. It could have possibly been him. But now I'm thinking that this goddamn cow man. For real. And the even more crazy part about it is that there is no way. Well, I never heard of. I can't say there's no way, but I never heard of an amusement park or a roller coaster catching on fire. Like, I have watched videos and read about and heard of, and I'm pretty sure y'all have too, of roller coasters and people dying on them. But I never heard a story about one of them catching on fire. I'm not saying it's impossible for it to catch on fire, but you don't hear about it catching on fire. You hear about something breaking or something, you know what I'm saying, somebody flying off that bitch or something. But catching on fire, I don't know. I tend to believe that somebody actually set the damn roller coaster on fire. But let's go.
Some even go as far as to say that he was some sort of demonic figure, an omen of sorts. I wouldn't go that far. But still, after learning about what happened to Damien, there's no denying this photo has an ominous vibe.
Yeah.
There have been extensive efforts to identify this man in the photo. All of those efforts have failed.
Wow.
This harrowing, colorized image from 1913 shows a woman condemned to death in Mongolia. This type of punishment was known as immurement, which literally means walling in. It's been used as a punishment in various places throughout history, but by the 1900s was basically unheard of. Outside of Mongolia, that is. There, it was still being used to oppress protesters and quote-unquote troublemakers. What this particular woman did to deserve such a cruel fate remains unknown, but whatever the case, when she received her sentence, she was locked within this large crate and left in the middle of nowhere to slowly expire. The only food given to her would have been honey and other laxatives, which in turn would have attracted insects that would later feast on her carcass and lay eggs inside her. This food was given to her once a day, during which time the hole in her crate would have been opened. At all other times, that hole would have been plugged, leaving her in total blackness. It's terrible to imagine what her final days must have been like inside that wooden tomb. Hungry, thirsty, hot, scared, and alone. It doesn't bear thinking about.
Holy fucking shit. I never heard of that type of torture, punishment, whatever you want to call it in my life. And man, oh man, did you see that little small ass crate that she was living in? Well, you can't even say living in, dying in. That's what she was doing. She was dying in that bitch. And the thing I'm thinking about more than anything is, imagine how hot it is in there. She in the middle of the fucking desert or the wasteland, wherever the fuck she was. It just looked like it was hot out there. And to be in this small ass crate. Oh man. That shit getting me like, making me claustrophobic. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking about it and how hot it had to been in there, man. Then they being even more low down, feeding her honey and shit. They gonna make her have to shit so the damn bugs can eventually start eating up. Man, this some, boy, I never heard of it in my life. That was crazy. You learn something new every goddamn day, don't it?
This foreboding image is the studio portrait of the Lawson family, taken just before Christmas in 1929. As you can see.
Can I just keep it 100 real quick too, y'all? And I ain't being funny, man. But it's something about these, not like 1920s, 1915, 17, 28. It's something about photos back in these days, regardless, man, are a little creepy. I don't know if it's because, I think it's a combination of two things. I think, no, it might be three things. It might be three things. I never thought about this before, but I'm finna say it now. The reason these days, all these photos back in these days, for the most part, look creepy is, number one, I guess, I'm just assuming this why I feel this way, and y'all probably feel this way too. Number one, because it's in black and white. You know what I'm saying? So that already give it a little creepiness to it. Number two, I think it's the clothes that they wearing. Like, you know how they dressed back then compared to us now. It look like these the type of clothes that you see of the damn spirits and ghosts in these witch movies and shit that you watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, this how they dress. And The third thing is the way they looking. I don't see cameras just had came out back then. People just had, well, I don't know that just had came out, but people just had really started taking photos and family portraits. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how new it is, but it's pretty new compared to 2023. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think they really knew how to take pictures back then. Like, you got the girl on that side, she's smiling a little bit, even though her smile on the right side, her smile, it's a little weird. But look at the top four. The adults, no smile. They look like the lady on the far left. That shit. Why she looking like that, man? And even the kids, man. I don't know, man. I think what I was really trying to say, y'all, is that I don't think that they knew back then how. Imagine these same group of people taking a photo in 2023. A lot of them be smiling and looking all happy and shit. You know what I'm saying? But these goddamn, I don't know, man. I don't know. But that shit creepy. And let's go.
They're all dressed rather fancily. Strange, considering they were a rural, working-class family. You see, Charles, the head of the household, had gathered his family together and driven them from Germantown to Winston-Salem, where he bought them all suits and dresses for their family photo. He explained this away as a Christmas splurge, a gift for the whole family to enjoy. In reality, it was all part of a dark plan he'd been brewing for some time. On the afternoon of December 25th, Charles Lawson sent his eldest son, Arthur, out on an errand which took him away from the house. Charles then calmly loaded his 12-gauge and sat alone by the family barn. As his daughters Carrie and Mabel left the main house to visit their aunt and uncle, he quietly waited for them to come into range, took aim, and blasted them down before bashing them both in the head. Immediately afterwards, he walked towards the main house, and, one by one, took out his remaining family members. His wife, who was sitting on the porch, his now screaming daughter Marie, his sons, James and Raymond, who were hiding inside, and finally, little Mary Lou. The eldest son, Arthur, soon returned to the house, and found a crowd of people and officers gathered outside. They'd all heard the commotion. They found the Lawson family scattered around the property, with their arms crossed and rocks over their faces.
What?
Not long after that, they heard a final bang ring out from the nearby forest. It was Charles. He'd gone to the woods to end his own existence. It's theorized Charles sent Arthur out to run the errand, not because he had a deep love for his son, but because the stocky Arthur would have fought to protect them. Unfortunately, Arthur's story doesn't have a happy ending either. He was involved in a motor accident in 1945 and perished at the age of 32. Why Charles Lawson felt the need to spend a fortune dressing his family up to get their portraits taken days before slaughtering them is up for debate. In my mind, it's a sort of "we were here" statement. Photographs were a rare luxury back then, especially for working class people like the Lawsons. Charles wanted to leave behind evidence that he existed, and that his victims existed too. A final Christmas gift of sorts. More for himself than them, I'm sure. I guess his plan to be remembered worked, since because of this photo, we're still talking about him today.
Yeah.
In the days after the massacre, Charles's own brother turned the house into a morbid tourist attraction, and charged visitors to look around the house where his relatives met their untimely ends. I guess the concept of a caring family was lost on him too.
That's probably the most freakiest, creepiest, whatever the word is that you want to use, photo I ever seen when we hear the backstory. Now, I was talking about, just the photo itself, but once we just heard that shit, this man, he literally wanted them to get all dressed up and take this picture because he knew this was going to be their last picture ever, and he wanted all them to be, framed in history or whatever, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to have that photo so people like us today can still talk about it to this day. And he knew he was killing all them then. Why he got them taking that photo? That is some creepy ass shit.
Diving can be dangerous at the best of times, but cave diving is another beast altogether. Unlike during a regular dive, With cave diving, you can't just swim directly upwards if you encounter a problem with your equipment. You have to frantically make your way back through the rocky labyrinth you're stuck in. When your oxygen levels suddenly deplete and time isn't on your side, it's no wonder that under such circumstances, so many divers fail to make it back to the surface. Other times, divers simply get stuck in some tight passage or become disoriented and lost. The more frantic they become, the quicker their air supply goes down. Signs like this have been placed outside numerous underwater caves to try and prevent such loss of human life. You can't save everyone though. On January 8th of 2005, accomplished cave diver David Shaw swam through the dark waters of Bushman's Hole in South Africa. Bushman's Hole is an intricate cave, feared by even the most seasoned of divers, and has claimed several lives throughout the years. It had, in fact, claimed the life of David Shaw's close friend, Dion Dreyer, 10 years prior in 1994. Since then, Dion's body had remained in the cave.
Wow.
Now with 10 extra years of diving experience under his belt, David decided he was going to recover the body of his long-lost friend, Dion. A noble quest. Sadly, one that was destined to end terribly. Just like Dion before him, David entered Bushman's Hole and never resurfaced.
Damn!
Before embarking on the dive, David had attached an underwater camera to his goggles and recorded his entire recovery effort. This was one of the last images he captured on his ill-fated mission. The diving goggles of his friend, Dion.
Wow.
David had found his remains. From the rest of the footage, other divers realized what had happened to David himself. At a depth of 725 feet, he was subjected to immense pressures that made breathing extremely difficult. He then ran into more difficulties when Dion's body began to float. This was unexpected. Experts had told David that Dion's remains wouldn't be buoyant, but in reality, his body had turned into a soap-like substance, which did in fact float, making the recovery 10 times more difficult. While struggling to pull his friend out of the cave, David became entangled in the lines of Dion's body bag, and the physical effort to free himself, combined with how difficult it was to breathe, led to his demise. Both David and Dion were later recovered.
Man, R.I.P. to David and Dion, but I'm just saying, man. Bro, I understand, bro. He had a great heart to do that, man. But it been 10 years, bro. It been 10 years. I understand completely why he wanted to do that. And I'm not mad at him. I'm not trying to, chastise him or talk negative about him because of that or nothing. All I'm saying is I just wish he would have did that. He would have tried this mission with more than just him. If it would have been a group of them, I would have felt better about it. Oh man, that's crazy, bro. That man lost his life trying to go save the body of his deceased friend from 10 years ago. Now, if that ain't friendship and love and loyalty towards somebody, I don't know what the fuck is. R.I.P. to David and W. David, man. This shit been good, y'all.
This next set of photos comes from Reddit user Whitney Renibi. Whitney's family live in a relatively rural part of Oklahoma. Last year, her mother was going through pictures on her phone when she came across 3 that stood out. One was of her husband, sleeping. One was of her youngest daughter, sleeping. And one was of herself, sleeping. They'd all been taken on the same night at around 3 in the morning. Nobody inside the house had taken any of the photos, and none of them had a history of sleepwalking. "I'm including all 3 pictures," said Whitney, "but the strangest one of them all is the pic of my mum. It appears as if whoever took the picture was kneeling down next to the bed, beside her, almost by her face. If you play around with the saturation, this can be seen in the background of one of the images." In the post, Whitney goes on to add that her family has 5 dogs that all bark at the slightest noise. None of them made a peep that night. The thought of someone else, or maybe even something else, being in your home and taking photos of you while you sleep is, ironically, enough to keep anyone awake at night.
I think I'm gonna have to call Cap on that one. I think that shit's some hoax or something made up. I believe that damn lady lying. And she kind of had me for a second, but when she said she got 5 fucking dogs and ain't none of these dogs was barking, while somebody or something was mysteriously in here taking pictures of you, I'm sorry, I can't believe it. I don't give a damn you just had one dog. One dog would bark, make a noise, and wake up the house. I got a dog in the house right now. If somebody pull up in my damn driveway, I guarantee you she gonna get the barking. You know what I'm saying? And you had 5? Nah, that's cap. She was lying. Let's go to the next one. I don't believe that shit.
I'm sure many of you are familiar with the work of alternative R&B artist Frank Ocean. For those of you who don't know him, he's made some of the most critically acclaimed albums in the genre, and has an extremely dedicated fanbase. That being said, he's notoriously private, and very little is known about his personal life. As such, even if you have heard of him, you probably didn't know that back in August of 2020, Frank's brother Ryan, 18, was sitting in the passenger seat of a car being driven by his friend, Ezekiel Bishop. As the two of them drove through Thousand Oaks well above the speed limit, Ezekiel lost control of the Tesla.
Damn.
The vehicle collided with a tree at high speed, was cut in half on impact, and burst into flames.
Damn.
Both Ryan and Zeke perished immediately. After hearing the news, Frank rushed to the scene in his GT3. This image shows Frank Ocean sat on the side of the road in a state of complete shock, having just learned that his brother was gone. He sits below a speed limit sign, adding a chilling dimension to the image. Frank and Ryan were both extremely close. Ryan's voice is even featured on the track Futura Free on Frank's 2016 album, Blonde. Knowing that this is what became of him, it's ominous hearing his young voice pop up at the end of the record. Frank also later released a track called Orion, dedicated to the brother he lost. When we're young, we all have a tendency to be reckless. We feel invincible, and unfortunately, some of us pay the ultimate price for that. This image is a chilling reminder to drive responsibly.
Hell yeah. Drive responsibly. And I know I know where they coming from, man. We all have been that age before. Some of y'all might be that age now. You may become that age or whatever. But I'm saying we all have been there before where we be young and dumb. And when we first started to learn how to drive and first riding by ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We be out here wilding, man. Just be safe, man. And more than anything, my brothers and sisters, put your damn seatbelt on. Now, I don't know if that seatbelt would have saved them, but still, man, click it. As soon as you get in the car, click it. Click it. Remember that. And make sure everybody in there clicking it. Real talk. Let's go.
This happy-looking couple are Zach Bowen and Addie Hall. They started dating in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, and seemed to be at their happiest during that period, where there was no electricity, no bills to pay, no work to be done. The pair of them were free spirits, and the lack of responsibility they felt during that period was something they savoured. Eventually, life went back to normal, however, and with it came the stress of actually having to work, both at their jobs and at their relationship. To make matters more difficult, they both had their own personal issues, which I won't go into detail about here. In short, their pasts were bleak. As real life started to take a hold, the pair began to fight constantly. When Addie learned that Zach had cheated on her, that was the final straw. On October 5th, 2006, she went to their landlord and tried to have Zach's name removed from the lease. The landlord refused, saying that the pair of them had to work out their relationship problems together. That landlord would be the last person to see Addie alive.
Wow.
12 days later, on October 17th, the authorities in New Orleans received a call from the Omni Royal Orleans Hotel. A man had leapt from the roof and splattered on top of the parking garage. That man was Zach Bowen. He had perished on impact. In his back pocket, they found a note in which he stated he had jumped from the roof to atone for what he had done. Investigators went to Zach and Addie's apartment. The air conditioner was on full blast. Zach had spray-painted messages on the walls, like, "I'm a failure," and "call my ex-wife and tell her I love her." In a pot on the stove, they found Addie's cooked head.
What the fuck, man? I ain't gonna say I was feeling sorry for the dude, even though he had killed her, but at least oh man, this shit be sounding so fucked up. I be trying to make it make sense though. But at least he had killed himself, even though he killed her. He felt bad about it. It seemed like he was feeling bad and, sorry for what he had did. You know what I'm saying? But bro, it's one thing to just kill somebody. But you taking this shit past another level when you got her head cooking on the damn stove. Now, come on, bro. Come on, bro. You just taking this shit too far, man.
In a separate pot were her feet and hands. In a roasting tray in the oven were her arms and legs.
Oh! This man is fucking crazy as a motherfucking... Man, this is... Dude, like I said, man, I don't want y'all to get the wrong opinion or whatever about me, what I'm saying. That once, he had killed himself, it seemed like he was remorseful for what he did. But when you get to chopping up somebody's body and cooking them, literally in the stove, on the stove, in the oven and all that. Man, you ain't remorseful for that shit. I don't give a damn if you killed yourself or not, bro. This is fucking ridiculous what you did to this woman.
They'd been seasoned and cooked. Chopped carrots and potatoes were found on the counter. Addie's torso was found in the fridge. In a journal, Zach had left an explanation about what had happened. He wrote about how he had had his way with the remains, how he sliced her up in the bathtub with a hacksaw, and how he went back to work like normal the following morning. In fact, for the next 2 weeks, Zach went on with his life like nothing had happened. All of his friends and family noted that he was extremely happy during this period, the happiest they had seen him in a long time. In actuality, Zach had already decided to jump from the Omni Hotel's roof, and, as he wrote in the journal, was just enjoying his last couple of weeks on Earth. There was no evidence to suggest that Zach had actually eaten any of Addie's remains. This innocent-looking photo of the couple together during happier times becomes morbid when you know what ultimately became of them both. After the incident became public knowledge, a woman named Mary Voodoo Queen Milan leased Zach and Addie's apartment building and turned their room into a real-life horror attraction. She dressed the place up like a schlocky haunted mansion, complete with bride and groom Chucky dolls, and charged visitors to step inside the room where a man had cooked his own girlfriend. Her attraction is still in operation to this day.
I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't even got nothing to say. Wow.
7 months ago, Reddit user Oopie Spoopy Man made a post on the r/ghost subreddit titled, "After hearing taps and noises from my kitchen, I take a photo and see this."
What the fuck? Oh shit! What the fuck?
They later wrote, "Thank you to the ones who have shown concern. As an update, since seeing this, I've been packing some stuff and preparing to go and stay with my family. I've told my flatmates that I'm going and why I am, but they've chosen to stay there." We'll end this video with a truly horrible photo. The Filipino zoo girl.
Hold on, before we get into the Filipino zoo girl, would y'all fucking stay there after you taking a picture in your house? Imagine taking a picture in your damn house or wherever you live at, and then you looking at it later on and you see a fucking head, a ghostly head looking like this. Would you stay in that damn house? Cause I'm getting the fuck out. I promise you I will leave this bitch right now. I will leave this motherfucker right now and go stay with my mama or my sister or whoever I got to stay with till I get up out of there. Cause ain't no way in the hell, man. If that photo real, that's another one, y'all. It could be fake. That could be some fake shit too. I don't know. You know, we gotta keep it partial. We gotta stay even-headed, 50-50 on a lot of this shit. But some of the shit you can't be 50-50 on. Some of that shit just 100% in your face is going on. But let's check out the last one. The Filipino girl at the zoo, something like that. Let's go.
Her name is unknown, but she was a member of the Igorots, a tribe in the Philippines. This photo was taken sometime between 1904 and 1914. Not even the Library of Congress, who own the photo, know exactly when. The Philippines was being governed by the US at the time, and this little one, along with other members of her tribe, were taken from their home and displayed at the Coney Island Zoo, alongside the monkey and lizard exhibits.
Wow.
As you can see, she was bound, and visitors threw peanuts at her.
Bro, I didn't even pay attention to that part of the photo. We gotta go out. We gotta go back. I did not realize that she tied up to the fucking pole. I'm thinking she just, leaning on it or something. These damn people and I done heard of shit like this before, but it's still crazy. These people in the damn zoo like they animals. They with the damn crocodiles and the lions and the tigers on display. Boy, we done came a long way, cause goddamn, that shit went flying 2023. Thank God I live in the time I do.
Taken from their home and displayed at the Coney Island Zoo, alongside the monkey and lizard exhibits. As you can see, she was bound, and visitors threw peanuts at her. Unfortunately, the concept of a human zoo was far from original at the time. Throughout America, Europe, and Asia, it was common to showcase people from conquered and occupied nations. Natives would be taken from some far-off land and displayed to the public like some sort of exotic trophy. This was done to drum up support for government policies overseas. The message was clear. Look at these people. They can't possibly be expected to govern themselves. And that's exactly the message this little one was being used to convey. She and the other Igorots were placed inside a closed-off pen. Then, dogs from the local pound were brought in for them to chop up and cook in a stew, all to shock and intrigue those who paid good money to see them. This was the mainstream entertainment of the day, and it both scandalized and intrigued the so-called civilized patrons of the zoo. Look at how these people live, they'd say to each other. Of course, that wasn't actually how they lived. The people putting on the show displayed the Igorots how they wanted them to be perceived. The reality was very different. This colorized photo shows how Igorots actually dressed at the time. As for why they tied this little one's hands, it was probably to dehumanize her. If she were free, she'd likely be running around and playing. That would have made it difficult to convince people that the Igorots were so different after all. Thankfully, this particular image does have a happy ending. The Igorots were eventually returned to the Philippines after the man who had brought them to the US, a guy called Dr. Truman Hunt, was put on trial for not taking adequate care of them. He was found guilty of that charge, along with stealing from them, using physical force to intimidate them, and for refusing to bury two of them who had perished on the journey to America. Dr. Hunt only received 18 months.
What the fuck?
And on that note, I think we all need a break to cool off. So we'll end things there.
The lazy man, this video was great, y'all. The fucking lazy man Masquerade, man. I'm just gonna start with that last one, man. The last one. It's just man, the United States. I want to just talk about where I live at. The United States got a fucked up ass history. The way we used to treat humans way back in the day. It's fucking terrible, man. It is fucking ridiculous, man. Like I said, I'm just glad I lived at the time I live in, y'all. In 2023, that shit would never fucking happen. Would it happen anywhere in the world? I don't think it could happen anywhere in none of these countries in this day and age, and people will be cool with it. And it's not just like we can just blame the government for what that shit was happening. People was coming to see it. The society we live in, that was the mind frame of people back then, that shit was cool. Going to a zoo to watch humans, looking at them like they animals. Like, that just was them times, man. That just was them times. That is crazy. But this whole video from, like I said, the lazy man was crazy, man. We got a lot of more of these we gotta catch up with, y'all. All this shit was just crazy, man. I can't really go through all of them. We had 10 of them. I can't really remember all of them like that. Like I said, the one with the man with the head hanging, with the taking the picture, whoever had took the picture and it looked like a ghost was in there. That shit like, oh shit, what the fuck? I would not be living in that house no more. But like I said, I don't know if that one real or not. But if it's real, hell no. The one I know fake for sure, well I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's fake, is the one where the lady talking about she got 5 dogs, but some kind of way these damn dogs weren't even barking while this mysterious person was in this house taking a picture of you and your family sleeping. Nah, I don't believe that shit, man. Don't believe that shit at all. But shout out to David again, rest in peace to him, cause man, bro, I understand what you was doing. I just hate that. I just wish you would have tried to get a team together to go retrieve Dion's body. But all in all, y'all, this shit was crazy as fuck. And the craziest one to me was that picture of that goddamn. Well, no, I can't even say that's the craziest one. There's a lot of crazy shit in here. The top ones is the picture of the damn man who had his whole family take this portrait way back then. You know, it was a big event to go take a portrait, and they got all dressed up and all that. And the whole time he knew that this is gonna be a portrait that's gonna last forever before I actually killed him. That shit was crazy. But then I'm thinking about the man who chopped the damn lady. I'm talking about literally chopped her body up and cooked and stewed her and all this crazy shit. My brothers and sisters, I digress. I ain't finna keep going on, man. Great video. I gotta say it again. Great video from the Lazy Man. So happy to come back to his channel. So happy y'all came back to fuck with me once again. I hope y'all hit that like button. I hope you subscribe if you ain't yet, because this is what we do over here on the daily. On the daily, we put out new true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious, what is going on type of videos. And that also means I will see y'all tomorrow. But until I see y'all tomorrow, my brothers and sisters, love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.